Welcome to this episode of the Women in Technology Spotlight. I'm so happy to have you here with me again. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, so you don't miss any of our conversations. Today, I'm happy to have with me Diana Galarraga. She is a business intelligence analyst at an interdealer brokerage company. Welcome, Diana.
Hi, Veronica. Thank you for having me.
So nice of you to give us your time. Diana, tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I am from Spain and I am currently living in London. I work as a business intelligence analyst for an interdealer brokerage company. Outside of my work, my hobbies include traveling and learning more about different cultures. I consider myself a very adventurous person. So I like traveling and doing things out of the normal. So I have been shark cage diving in Australia, and I have also been skydiving twice on Cairns and in Uluru, on top of Uluru. So that was like an amazing experience. If I'm not traveling, I like to spend time with my friends and family, or just exploring all the hidden gems that London has to offer.
Wow, skydiving, shark diving.
Yeah, I like to do things outside of the normal. Yeah.
So Diana, if you're an adventurous person, is that something that reflects in your job? I have a very vague idea what a business analyst does, and I have a even less idea what an internet brokerage is. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I feel like being adventurous really goes along really well with my day-to-day job. So as a business intelligence analyst, I am in charge of analyzing data, leveraging data, and transforming it into meaningful insights that can help drive business value. So my day-to-day activities range based on the different tasks that I'm working on. So it can go from cleaning raw trade data. So I work a lot with trade data. That's what an interdealer brokerage company does. They trade different types of assets, commodities, FX. So my day-to-day job can range from cleaning raw trade data and use it to analyze requests that we get from different clients, to investigating different requests we get from lines of businesses, or attending any regulatory requests we get on data. So data is really our true source of business value that we get.
Yeah, and I heard that data is the new oil, kind of. So I think working with data is really, really interesting, but I'm still having a bit of trouble grasping what it looks like, because you say, okay, you clean raw data. What does that mean?
So data can come in any type of form. So if you open an Excel spreadsheet and you just get lots of data, but it's raw, you don't know what it's telling you. You just get numbers or letters. So what I do is transform, and by using visualization tools, I look at that data and try and find patterns, or maybe if a desk is trading a lot on Wednesdays, we can find that by the data, like which days we trade the most, maybe which employee is doing the most trades as well within the company. So there's a lot of the insights that we can get by looking at the data and manipulating it, cleaning it in case there is data is not matching because there is a space within the data. So it's just about cleaning the data, playing with the data, see what you can get from it, what insights you can get, and then try and create dashboards that can reflect what the data is showing us.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can provide that to the senior managing directors who can make decisions based on the data we're providing.
Okay.
So I feel like my day-to-day job is very, you don't know what's coming for you. Every day is something different. So I think that's what keeps it exciting. Mm-hmm. I don't know what's coming the next day. I could be investigating an issue that a desk in Australia has come across, or I could be creating a dashboard that could reflect a new insight that I've found based on transforming the data. So I would say that, yeah, being adventurous is linked to this, because I have to think outside the box and be very spontaneous on how I could make the most out of the data that I currently have. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what I enjoyed about my job and technology.
Yeah. So you said you look at data and you can maybe find patterns and see, kind of understand what the data is telling you. That sounds like something that is like a talent. I'm not sure, but I think where I'm going with that question is, did you always enjoy working with data? Did you always, like investigating? And is that something that you knew you would want to turn into a job later?
Not really. So it's interesting because I didn't study any STEM subjects at university. So I moved to the UK when I was 15 years old with my family. Mm-hmm. I spoke very little English, only the basic English that you learned in school abroad. And then I just moved straight to Sheffield, which is at the north of England. And they have a completely different accent. So moving when I was 15, with the English I knew, and then just listening to people speak with like a completely different accent, it was like a challenge on itself for me. And then just sitting my high school exams, and then going into A levels and then university. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I just wanted to finish high school, and then that would be a problem that I would think about in the future. So I feel like a lot of teenagers would understand what I mean and how I felt back then. But then I studied politics and international relations at university. I did politics at high school, and it's a subject that I really enjoyed. So I decided to study that at university. And then when I was at university, one of the modules I had to do was to use statistical software for research. And I noticed that I really enjoyed using statistics and working on computers, working with data. So I decided to join my university, did an 8-week Python training. So it was a great initiative, I think, because all the computer science students would teach the rest of the university on how to code Python. So I did that training, and that's how I started getting more and more into tech. And then after graduating from university, I realized that although I enjoyed politics, it's not something I would see myself doing, like doing a lot of research as a career. So I joined a consultancy company that I found on an open day for technology. I just decided to attend an open day for technology that my university arranged. And I applied, went through the interview process, all the assessment centers, and all the stages that you have to do when you apply for a graduate scheme. And I got the job, and I did an 8-week training as a business analyst. It was a hybrid course. So it was a graduate scheme for a business analyst and project management officer. So after completing the training and getting my certifications for business analyst and project management, I got outsourced to one of their clients. The first client I worked for was in the public sector on migration and deployment of devices. So that was across the UK. Each week was in a different location, working with different people on the team. So I feel like working in technology has always been very exciting for me. And I don't regret changing careers. And I also am very thankful for having the opportunity to, despite not studying a STEM subject at university, I still have the opportunity to learn and build a career within technology.
Yeah.
So after finishing that contract, I went on to work for a leading banking institution where I worked on projects in artificial intelligence and machine learning. So I learned a lot about ethics in AI and the different tools that you can use, the different types of machine learning that there are. So it was a very enjoyable experience as well. And then I moved on to working on the current company that I am working on now with trade data. And yeah, I'm just enjoying what I've done, and I hope to inspire other young women and to let them know that if you don't have to study technology at university in order to get a career within tech, as long as you have a passion for it and you're interested in learning more about technology, you can still go for it and get a career within technology.
Yeah, I agree. And what I'm thinking is your journey is so interesting. I mean, it seems that you got to where you are by chance, basically, because, and that is what I'm actually where my question is going. Do you feel that you would have needed more guidance to understand in high school that there is, that there are jobs like, for example, being a business analyst, or did you even have any idea that something like that existed?
No, that's a good point. I feel like there's not enough support when you're in high school to that lets you see the different opportunities you have and the different career sectors that you can go into. So for me, before applying to this graduate job, I had no idea what a business analyst was.
Yeah.
I remember I went online and I searched for a business analyst. I was like, what is that? And it was interesting because a business analyst is the person who has the business knowledge. Like, you don't have to have technological knowledge, but that's what's needed in technology. You need a person who understands tech, but at the same time can deliver the findings to stakeholders. So you need that communication skills, presentation skills, logical skills. So you need all of those skills to be the middle person who can help understand more what the developers mean when they work with data.
You touched on a very, very important point here, I feel, because when we tell people we work in technology, they have this picture in their head of what that means, and it has very little to do with what is really required. And as you just said, I feel it's getting more and more important to have people who are, in the middle between, the subject matter expertise and the technology. You need people who understand both and who can also communicate to both sides, to the business and to the technology. So yes, I think that is a very, very, very important point. And that's something we would like young women to understand who are now not interested in technology because they think it's just sitting there and coding,
Yeah, no, definitely. And I also feel like when I was in high school as well, and I thought of like doing a STEM subject, I always got this idea of like very geeky people always coding in front of the laptops, like not leaving their rooms, just playing video games. But it's actually completely different. Like, there's so many different roles that you can do within tech, even if you don't know how to code. So there's a lot of opportunity, and like I said, it's just never boring. There's always something new to learn, and technology is always advancing. So it's a place where you're never going to be stuck not knowing what to do. There's always something new to learn, something new to do, or any volunteering that you want to do, help other people based like analyzing data.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely something interesting to look at if you haven't done so.
Exactly. It's all never boring. And you also talked a little bit about how communicative the whole job is, how you get to work with different people all the time, or in the first job where you move from location to location and we're always working with new teams. So it's not being stuck in a room. It's, talking to people, communicating. And that's also one of the reasons I think a lot of women are good at this, because, they have very good verbal skills and they know how to talk to people. So I think one of the obstacles in your life, getting to where you are now was, coming to a new country at 15, having to learn a completely different language, adjusting to a different culture. But what else did you encounter on your journey as problematic, or maybe even as supportive? I would be interested.
Yeah, so definitely moving to a new country, not knowing the language was the main one. But I feel like you have to be very resilient and get on with the challenge. Like I never just didn't know what to do and just started, like I just isolated myself. I never did that. I always like fought for it, and even though it was a challenge, like you have to overcome it. That's it. That's life. So I feel like that was a big challenge. And then after finishing my high school as well, thinking about what I wanted to do at university, and I feel like that was another challenge because I didn't have enough guidance on what careers were out there. I just did it based on what I studied at high school. But yeah, I feel like exploring different areas and being an open person, talking to people, networking, that also helps a lot to finding out what other people are doing, what jobs are out there. You just have to always be interested on what's going on.
Yeah, very good point. Networking is so important to understand, all these things we don't have in our immediate vicinity because we grow up in a certain family, in a certain culture, and we might not have any insight into what else is out there. So talking to new people can be such a great way to experience new opportunities.
Yeah,
So I'm
definitely.
wondering, because you talked about resiliency, sorry, I just interrupted you.
No, that's fine.
Talking about resiliency, you said it's always important, but how did you learn resiliency? Were you always resilient? Is that something your parents taught you, or is it something they were role models for?
Yeah, no, I feel like my parents, they've always encouraged me to, like, if you fall, just stand up. Like, that's the best you can do. You can't just, if you stay there crying, like, nothing is gonna get fixed. Like, you have to take action.
Okay.
If you want to, like, do something, just go and get it. Nobody's gonna come and knock on your door. That's what my dad always says. He's always like, well, if you want something, go and get it. Go and work hard for it, because hard work is always going to give you rewards. And so that's something that I always have in mind with like every task. And also I think it's very important that every opportunity that comes to your way, even if you're not 100% sure, go for it, because you will learn so much from it. And just going for it, you're going to gain so much experience from it, and you're going to develop yourself career wise and in your personal life as well. So I feel like that's also something to always bear in mind. Like, say yes and then worry about it later. But take on that challenge or opportunity or wherever comes your way, just say yes and do it.
Yes, I totally agree. I was wondering, because you mentioned networking, which is such an important point, just having, this group of people that is connected to you that you can talk to about things that are happening in your life. And I was wondering, are you part of any women in tech organization? Is that something that helped you, or do you have women within the company you're working for that you network with?
Yeah, no, so I feel like I have been very lucky with the companies that I've worked on, because they all have women in technology and women networks groups, and they tend to organize talk events like with guest speakers that come and motivate you, or they have like coffee mornings where you go and talk to other women that work within the organization. It's not just for women, but also to allies who agree with empowering women in the workplace. So I feel like all the organizations have always tried to empower women, and they always bring brilliant guest speakers to talk about their challenges. And I feel like that is always like an inspiration to have, see how other women have also gone through like very similar situation as you have, and they have overcome it, and they have reached really high senior positions within their careers, and it's just an inspiration that you have. So if they've done it, you could definitely do it. Like, you shouldn't put yourself a barrier because of like your background or your ethnicity or your language or whatever. If one person has done it, then why couldn't you do it as well?
Yeah. And I think that is so valid. If you see it, you can do it. So if you see yourself in someone, you can do it. And that is also one of the reasons I'm so happy that you are here, because I think what you're doing is exactly that. You are showing other women that they can do it. And you are sharing your journey and your obstacles and how you went about building your career, which is so important, because I feel there can't be enough female role models out there who work in tech and show what we can actually achieve. So wrapping up our conversation, I mean, you already said so many useful things and gave so many advices, but is there one last, like recommendation or motto or whatever you would like to share with us?
Yeah, so I would just want to highlight that to never give up. Like, if you want something, just work for it. Like, reach out to people in LinkedIn, ask as many questions as possible. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Like, they're just not going to reply to you or say no. That's it. But at least you can say, like, I've done it, rather than like, oh, I wish I did it, or like, what if I did this? Like, I'd rather be like, oh, well done, what if? So I would say, like, never give up. Always say yes to any challenges or opportunities, and then worry about it later. Is gonna bring the best out of you, and you don't know what you could do under pressure, or like with a new challenge.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, just work hard for it. And then I would say my favorite quote is that if the whole world was blind, who would you impress? Like, don't think about your physical appearance, or like, don't put yourself that as a challenge or anything. Like, if you want something done, just imagine that the whole world was blind. Like, they just have to make a judgment based on your knowledge and what you can bring to the team or the company or society. So yeah, I feel like those are like my highlights.
That is very beautiful. I mean, think about who you would impress if the whole world was blind, because we're often so preoccupied with how we present ourselves instead of thinking of what we're giving to the world.
Definitely.
Thank you for that. So Diana, thank you for joining me, and thank you for giving me your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed it, and thanks for organizing all of these podcasts.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.